Very warm welcome to everyone who has joined in today for the second leadership talk. Today we have Mr. Rakesh Kohli with us on this very vast journey starting from the scratch to the struggle time, then to a successful brand as a Stag. And apart from Stag, he's an international player now. He's been playing lawn tennis since long now. And I have seen him personally through many challenges when I've gone through a surgery of his ligament, and even then after his recovery, he's again on the track playing tennis. It's been wonderful to have Rakesh ji on this platform, and it's being a nice opportunity for every one of us because we are the one chosen one. I would say to listen to his experience that he has, very vast experience he's having in terms of entrepreneurship, leadership, and sportsmanship. I think she's being very kind enough to accept our request for this talk. And before proceeding, let me give you a brief preview about Merit Management Association.
Merit Management Association is a professional non-profit body affiliated to All India Management Association with the aim to promote scientific management in industry and trade. It also undertakes training and consultancy to improve managerial effectiveness and competitiveness of its members. Merit Management Association, formed in 1966, is registered under the Societies Registration Act 1860. The founder members of the association were Sri K.N. Mohan, Managing Director, Mohan Meekins Breweries, Sri Sultan Singh Jain, Managing Director, Saru Smelting, and Sri R. Sahai, General Manager, Dorala Sugar Works.
And when we talk about Rakesh ji is also a past president of Merit Management Association. He started his business with a small company called Stag International. I think so. I can recall him. He was having an office at Bombay Bazaar. Since then, I know him personally, right? And after from Bombay Bazaar, he been shifted to Udyogpur with a large factory, and with numerous orders, established the brand across 150 countries. I think so. The number might have increased. This is my knowledge. So with this, I would like to. I'm so curious and about this talk. I would personally like to ask Rakesh Uncle. Rakesh Uncle, what is the success mantra that you have for this success? Apart from the success mantra, you would also like to learn how do you take time out of it, business, entrepreneurship, leadership, and then again sports as a full-fledged career. I think so. Apart from sport itself, he is also involved into modeling. He has done numerous ads with some airlines company and some insurance company, right? So Rakesh Uncle, what is the secret mantra? I would first like to ask you, what is the secret mantra about the passion that helps you to follow this thing up? Rakesh Uncle, before we officially proceed, I have a very small question from you.
The part of the answer, the question which you asked, and part of the answer lies in your question itself. It's being passionate. If you're passionate about something, then definitely you will find time. See, I remember when we were young, so there were some friends, who were very passionate about watching movies, and they wanted to watch first day first show, and they would find the time for that. So if you're passionate about something, definitely you will find time. The other mantra over the years which I've learned is that in my organization, if I feel that someone else can do the job which I'm handling, then I will try not to do that job myself. I'll always try to delegate. So that leaves me with a lot of free time for what I want to do. So these are the two things. As far as the brand building and all is concerned, of course, we will discuss during the course of discussion. But yes, there has been quite a few challenges. There have been quite a few struggles. And how to overcome those struggles over a period of time, we will discuss now.
So I think so that's pretty well explained. I think so it's all about passion you follow, playing tennis and delegation in your work to your subordinates. I think so. You must be having a very wonderful team. So I would like to have the secret of how do you manage that lovely team? It's gonna be a challenging task because having a nice workforce is very important for the growth of any kind of business. So with this, I would like to hand over the platform to you. I think so audience would be more interested listening to you, either you or me only chatting on the various questions, and probably we can have a few questions at the end of the session. Okay. So with this, I would like to welcome you officially on the second leadership talk, right? So here the platform to you. Thank you, Rakesh.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you. Thank you so much, friends, for having me over for this wonderful session on leadership, which Merit Management Association has started over the last few months. And I mean, it's a matter of proud privilege for me to be here and share with you my experiences on what I have been able to achieve over the period of time. So the session today is on struggle and success. So there are quite a few things common between struggle and success. Of course, both they start with S and there is a U in between somewhere. But apart from that, no success comes without struggle. And if there is no struggle, then the success is not sweet enough. So I think, success and struggle, they go hand in hand. बात जब अपनों की करनी हो तो फिर बात का मजा कुछ और आता है, लेकिन जब बात अपनी करनी हो तो शायद आदमी कहीं ना कहीं झिझक जाता है. लेकिन आज मेरे को बोला गया है, I've been asked to speak about myself, and I've agreed to this because I feel that knowledge which we have gained in this world is not our personal property. So whatever knowledge which we have gained, we must share with our friends, we must share with everyone as many times as possible. So over the years, there has been a brand building about the brand stack, which over the years we have built. And along with that, there has been a brand building on brand Rakesh Kohli. And before I go further, I would like to have a few acknowledgements which have been responsible for this brand Rakesh Kohli over the years. And my special thanks, first of all, they go to my family who have been with me throughout the thick and thin of my journey. My acknowledgements go to my grandfather, who has always been there for me and inculcated the skills for not only for business but for leading a good life. My gambling friends, as a youngster, I used to gamble a bit, and my gambling friends who helped me how not to gamble in life and how to take calculated risks. My mentor, Mr. Triloknath Anand, who saw in me as a youngster certain qualities and which, he had been motivating me every time so that I can become a better human being, a better person. Dr. S.K. Suri, who has been helping me in every sphere of life and helping me in learning the ethics. Mr. G. Jagannath, he has been former Indian table tennis player and Arjuna Award winner, who has been helping me right from the very beginning on how to improve the quality of products and how to improve the quality of life. Mr. P. Raju and Mr. Ramesh Gautam, who have been motivating me to take to tennis not only at the national level but also at the international level. My BHU gang of friends, who have been my support system always and teaching me how to enjoy life. My seniors at Merit Management Association, Mr. Yogesh, Mr. Abhijit, Dr. Poonam Devdutt, my friend Shashank, who have been instrumental in making me a more confident person all through. My tennis friends, both at national and international level, some of them who have been instrumental in me winning international titles at various levels. And last but not the least, my critics, who have always motivated me to do better and better in life. So let me share my journey of life with you, dear friends. As a 14-year-old, I was a keen sportsman. I used to not only follow various sports, but I used to play various sports right from gilli danda to basketball and everything in between, whether it was tennis or whether it was table tennis or any other sport. But that is where I faced my first struggle in life. We had a group of people in our colony who used to play cards, and I started getting involved with them, and I started gambling. And I was in class 9. I was so much involved in that I failed in class 9. That was a big learning for me. And then when in the next session, next year, I had to sit with students who were 1 year junior to me. That opened my life, my eyes. I thought, what am I doing? And I think that was the last time when I went to gambling. So I would like to thank my gambling friends who were instrumental in teaching me that life is much more than just gambling. You have to learn much more. Then the second struggle came when I did my graduation. I got selected for my MBA course, and my grandfather, he decided that I cannot go because my father, he was the only son, and I was the eldest son in the family for my father. So he said that in case this guy goes in the business, so he decided that I cannot go, and that is where Mr. T.N. Anand, he came as my support system. He came and convinced my grandfather that this guy, if you send him for an MBA course, he will take your business to the next level. He agreed with a lot of reluctance, but anyway, that is how it was. And I went for an MBA course, came back. After my MBA, or even before that, when I was a 17-year-old guy, my grandfather, he fell down. And he had a fracture on his leg and he couldn't move about freely. He was bedridden for about 6 months. Now, when he was bedridden, I was by his side because I did my senior Cambridge at that time. You know, we used to have a 6-month break because once you've done your senior Cambridge, that was in the month of December, and the session in UP would normally start in July. So I had a 6-month break, and during that break, I had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with my grandfather. And that is when he taught me the nuances of business. He taught me quite a few things about how to lead a good life. And then he gave me an opportunity to start touring for business. So at the young age of 17, I started touring because my grandfather couldn't travel, and he sent me to all the places where he used to go. Then thereafter, when I started working, I went to BHU for my MBA. I was working. The entire tender for BHU used to be with me. I used to supply the kit and all to the university. And I was one of the people who was actually not only learning the skills of business, but was actually implementing those skills side by side. So that was a very fortunate experience for me. When I came back after my MBA, when I came back, so I thought, let me play a little bit more. I was already playing for my university in table tennis and tennis both. And then I took admission in law in Meerut College so that I could play for the university. And just before I was to leave for the inter-university tennis at Roorkee, I had a bout of chickenpox. This was struggle number 3. Now this bout of chickenpox meant that I couldn't play the inter-university. And I was bedridden. I was, for the first 2 days, I was very cross with myself as to what is happening and why this is happening to me. But thereafter, I realized, okay, there is much more to life than this. So what I did was, that was a time when I started planning that how I have to build the brand stack. So those 15 days, they came handy. I mean, that was a challenge which I faced, and I turned it to an opportunity whereby I planned how I'm going to take brand power in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. And believe me, for the next 15 years, I worked as per that plan. And the tables which we used to produce, they got approved by the Table Tennis Federation of India, the International Table Tennis Federation, and we had these tables not only for the national championships, but also for the international events. Now, when we started the Indian market, the first challenge was there were already quite a few established brands. And there was a brand in Mumbai which was very popular, known as Sundar. There was a brand, another brand, Amco from Mumbai. There were brands in Meerut and in other places who were very popular. Now, how to do business under these circumstances when already the market is flooded with quite a few popular brands? So we decided we have to do something different. Instead of pushing our product towards the customers, we decided to apply a pull strategy. And what does this pull strategy mean for table tennis? We saw to it that our table was there in each and every arena, in each and every tournament. And once the tables were started, they started using these tables in the arena, automatically the demand from the dealers started picking up. So this pull strategy helped us, but then all the tables were the same. So what is it different in stacked tables that people should buy these tables rather than buying anything else? So my father, he was a very technical person, and he produced the first table on wheels in India. And that is how we became different than all our competitors. These were the first tables introduced in India with wheels. And overnight, it was very popular. And in less than a year and a half, we became the number one brand in India. But there is also something which went along during that time, that we were sitting in the north, and there were brands which were popular in south, and there were brands which were popular in west. So we decided as a strategy that let us attack north first. And we became the number one brand in northern India. Then we decided to attack south. We became the number one brand in south. Then we decided to attack east, and we became the number one brand in east. And then we took over Bombay, where there were already two major brands which were functioning, Amco and Sundar. And by that time, our tables were already used in nationals, they were used in various championships, and it was very easy for us to overcome West and become the number one brand in India. Gaurav, if you have any questions in between, you are most welcome. Or anyone, if anybody has any questions, you're most welcome.
I do have a number of questions. Probably I was just waiting for you to stop it. I was listening so effectively regarding your challenges and journeys. How do you overcome your injuries, and when you overcome your smallpox, how do you overcome it? How do you ever think that, okay, this is the next what I'm going to do?
Okay. Many years back, we had a talk by Dr. Poonam Devdutt regarding I don't exactly remember what the discussion was, but one thing which she said was that every challenge comes with many opportunities. So when you have a challenge, you have to think that challenge as an opportunity. Normally in business, if you are doing particular thing in a particular way, you get the same results every time. But on a particular day, you get a complaint. And when you get complaint, then you see 10 different ways to solve that issue. And then you see that there are aspects to business which you have not seen before. So similarly, this smallpox, this chickenpox was an issue. This was a challenge. But then it also gave me the opportunity to slow down. Because by that time I had been concentrating more on my sports. I was not concentrating enough on my business. But this gave me the opportunity to concentrate more on the business, on the brand building. So, every time there is a challenge, you have to see to it that how this challenge can be converted into an opportunity.
So I think so. Every injury, you get an opportunity to explore yourself. I think so. That would be a key point I can take from here.
Yeah, if it is not that serious. So you have to be. Of course, I will come to that also. I have had many more serious issues later on. But then thereafter, what we did was the brand building was there, and the brand was popular in table tennis. But if you are doing sports, then table tennis is not the only thing. You have to do much more than that. So then we started extending the brand to other sports like athletics, like gymnastics, like judo, wrestling. We were the first ones in India to produce jumping kits for pole vault and high jump. We were the first ones in India to produce expanded polyethylene mats for wrestling, for judo, and for gymnastics. So there were various firsts at that time.
I do believe you were the first one to play senior citizen championship for tennis as well.
Not exactly. I was not the first one, but yes, the first world championship from India I was a member of the 45 plus team. The first team which went out in 2007, I think, 2007 or 2008. So I was a member of that team.
So that's great. And along with it, I do feel that you've been I have seen the only entrepreneur who's been into entrepreneur modeling and sports at all fields. They're doing wonders. How do you?
God has been very kind. I mean, I've just been trying. God has been very kind, and He has given me success in various fields.
I think day before yesterday, I have just spoken. Miracle never happens in real life. It's always hard work and faith, right? So you can't put everything on God. So I think so. It's somewhere down the line. It's your very hard work.
Yes, I mean, see, somebody asked a very successful person that what is the reason behind your success, and he said that in life I was always the first one to jump on an opportunity. And then the second question came that how do you realize that this is an opportunity? He said, no, I kept jumping, and when the opportunity came, I was the first one. So of course, I mean, success is going to be there only when the hard work is there. You cannot say that, okay, I am sitting idle and success will automatically come. No, you have to work hard for that success. So, but when you keep working hard, the opportunities, they keep coming, and then that is the time for you when you can encash those opportunities. Thereafter, we started our international journey into the sporting goods sector, and we went to the ISPO fair in 1993. And by that time, we were already a well-known brand as far as the Indian market was concerned. And we thought, okay, when we are going to the export market, we have this background and we are already doing so well, so we will be successful in the international market as well. But that was not so. I mean, we started campaigning for our tables, and we started with the price of $150. And when we saw at ISPO, even the products from Spain and Germany, they were selling at $100. So this was a big shock for us, because we thought that the prices from India, they're going to be cheaper than what the prices are there in the international market. But unfortunately, the prices in the international market and even from the more developed nations, they were even cheaper. Anyway, we did a lot of value engineering, and again next year we went for the ISPO fair, and we kept the price at $100. But then the price had gone down to $90. The third year, I decided, no, this is not going to work like this. So what we did was, a customer from Palestine, he walked in, he said, I want tables. I said, okay, we can provide you with the tables. He said, what's the price? I said, your price. He was surprised. What do you mean? I said, whatever price you want, we'll give you the table for. He said, the other guy from Spain, he's selling it at $80. Can you give me for $75? I said, I'll give. He said, okay, send me 6 containers. I said, sorry, I cannot give you 6 containers. He said, what do you mean? I said, I'll give you half container of tables, and along with this half container, you have to take accessories for the balance half. Now, where this learning came from, I did my training with Corus India Limited way back in 1981. And at Corus was the #1 brand for carbon paper at that time. And they had 98% share. But carbon paper, they were selling at a loss. But every stationery shop during that point of time, it couldn't survive without carbon paper. So they used to supply this carbon paper to the shop, but they used to supply 1 box of carbon paper. Along with that, the stationery shop had to buy 10,000 worth of other goods from the company. So the carbon paper used to give them 100 rupees or 200 rupees per box loss. But the other products, they used to give on that 10,000, they used to get 5,000 rupees profit. So that is what I did. I sold the tables at a loss, but I sold the accessories at a profit. The learning which I had in 1981 from Corus came in 1980. So that is, I mean, if you are trained well, and if you learn well, then that learning can come good to you at some point of time in life. Thereafter, what we did was we started promoting the brand internationally. We started sponsoring international teams, and we started doing the same full strategy for our products in the international market, similarly to what we had done in the Indian market. And slowly the product became popular. And today we are proud that our product is present in more than 200 countries worldwide. There are 226 nations which are affiliated, although the number of countries is smaller, but there are 226 associations which are affiliated to International Table Tennis Federation, and we are present in 206 out of these. So then there was in
that's
2000
an achievement, and I think so the number would keep on increasing day by day. So when you are
yeah, but I
compliment the association, that's I have 236. You need to add 5 more people. I think so that they will soon come.
Yeah, so that is also an interesting story, Gaurav. How it happened is that the ITTF, the International Table Tennis Federation, was one of the biggest associations with the number of affiliations at 206. But volleyball had 214 affiliations. So ITTF, they wanted to be bigger than volleyball. So we suggested, okay, we can help you in this. So we approached the balance 20 associations and we provided them with free or subsidized tables. For all these 20 associations, we supplied, I think, 12 tables free. But the condition was that they had to affiliate themselves with the ITTF. ITTF was very happy that they had the entire 226 associations affiliated to ITTF. But then the next challenge, during our journey of exports, we had this order of 5,000 tables from Iraq, and the time limit was only 3 months. So we were fortunate to hire a separate place, and we were able to do this 5,000 tables. Some of these tables were later used. Some of these tables were in Saddam Hussein's palace, and they were used to because they were fitted with wheels. So people used these tables to bring out the bounty from Saddam's palace, and all the loot they put on the tables and took it out. Anyway, so that was good. Then in 2005 there was one of the biggest struggles which we faced, and this struggle was that we had my sister-in-law. She had a simple tooth extraction, and we lost her in that simple tooth extraction. And that is the time when we decided that life is too short to waste our time on anything. What we want to do, we must do it today rather than wait for tomorrow. And that is when me and my wife, we decided that we will do what we want today rather than wait for tomorrow. And she started her modeling career at the age of 43, and I started my tennis as a senior tennis player at that particular time. The first tournament I played was in Lucknow, and it was a ITA Seniors Tennis tournament, and All India Tennis Association conducted it, and I won one round, and my ranking in the country was 152. 152 in the country. Then I played other tournaments. I kept losing. I lost one tournament. I lost another one. I lost. Kept on losing till the time I had no fear of losing again. And that is when my journey on winning started. I won some titles internationally. I won some titles in the domestic sector. And slowly my ranking started improving in the country. From 152 I came to 50. From 50 I came to 20. From 20 I came to number 1 in the country at one time. So then, thereafter I started my international career. Am I audible? Yeah. Then I started my international career, and in the international career I won 21 titles with 14 different partners. And while I was on this journey of success in tennis, in 2016 I thought, in my age group, I think I'm one of the fittest. And I had marathon 3 matches in Trivandrum, 3 matches a day in Trivandrum. I played some good tennis in Muzaffarnagar. I was moving very well, and somehow it came to my head that I'm one of the fittest in the field. And that is where God showed me, you may think whatever you are, but you are a product which I have created, and let me test this product. So in 2016, I remember that I was in Switzerland attending a marriage function. My cousin, his son, he was getting married, and they picked me up from Zurich. And when I reached Montreux, what I saw was that there was a beautiful running track around the hotel where we were staying. So immediately, I mean, it was morning time, 7:30 in the morning. So immediately I changed into my shorts, and I always support sports shoes. And I went around that lake and I ran 8 kilometers and I felt so good. And that was one last big run which I had in my life. When I came back, the first thing was that I fell on the tennis court. I had blood all over, and my tennis friends, they thought that this is a gone case now. But anyway, I survived. I went for a tournament in Spain, reached the finals. But the finals were the next day. But in the evening, I had stomachache, and I couldn't bear that. I had to come back to India, and they detected that my gallbladder was no longer functional, and that was my first surgery in 2016. Gaurav, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. So this was a struggle which I had in 2016, and of course I have some friends here who are listening to me while I'm talking. They're in the same. I mean, if you feel something good about it, I think you can clap so that everybody can have a feel of the real world, you know. Anyway, so 2016, after this surgery, I mean, before the surgery, I had a ranking of 25 in the world. And then after this surgery, I gained some weight. And one fine morning, I was playing on the tennis court, and I was not able to hit the ball well. And I was missing quite a lot of shots. And when I missed one of these shots, I was very much furious with myself. And then I tried my best, won the next 3 points, and came out of the court after winning the game. And I started crying. I started crying like a young child of 2 years old. And my friends were there. They wanted to console me, but they couldn't. I kept crying for 10 minutes. And at the end of the 10 minutes, I resolved to myself. I said, my best ranking in the world has been 25. I have to improve on that. I've gained 6 kgs of weight, and I have to shed these 6 kgs in the next 3 months. And in the next 3 months, I lost 8 kgs of weight. I went on to play the international circuit, won a few tournaments, and my ranking from 25, I mean, at that time it had gone down to 61, but then again, from 61, it came down to 37, from 37 to 25 to 23 to 21, and one fine morning, I was number 14 in the world. And that is the point when I decided, okay, when I can be number 14, why can't I be in the top 10? So me and my brother-in-law, Puneet, we decided that we'll play a tournament in Switzerland. And then we'll play a tournament in Riga. And we were to leave for that tournament on 4th of July 2017. And on 30th of June, while playing on the court, I had a meniscus tear. That was the second big jolt which I had on the tennis court. And I had to go in for a surgery. And after the surgery, it was a very painful experience in the sense that I couldn't move all that well. The partners with whom I had been playing tennis and I had won some titles, they started avoiding me. It was very difficult journey at that particular stage. But then I resolved. I said, no, nothing doing. I will come back. So I joined orthopedic center in Delhi, and I had this Australian guy, Clark. And he, along with my younger son, who did his master's in sports psychology. So they helped me. They said, okay, if you follow this regime, you'll be back to top 50 in the world in the next 6 months. And they put me on a very difficult regime. Believe me, I mean, I went there, I said, Clark, I cannot walk. He said, sir, you have to run. I said, you are talking about running, I can't walk. He said, that's our responsibility. And believe me, the first day I went there, he made me run. And when he made me run, I realized that there is still energy left in my body. There is still quite a lot which I can achieve with this body. And then my ranking improved, and I went on to win the Asian title after my 2 surgeries. Thereafter, 2019, I was the captain of the Indian team, and I was to go to Portugal as the captain of the Indian team, and that was in the month of August. But just before I went to Portugal, in the month of July, on the 1st of July, I had a bout of hepatitis E. The whole month I was down. On 30th of July, my doctor, he gave me a go-ahead that you can go, but you play only doubles. So I went and played the World Championship. So when you have all this success At the same time, you have to realize that there are some good things and there are not so good things in life. And God is testing. Just like when we make products and we have made a product of a particular quality, we would like to test it. We would like to see how well it performs. Similarly, God from time to time will keep testing you. He has made this product. He wants to test how much I can endure, how much I can go forward, how much I can see to it that I can still work hard even after surgeries. So these are the testing times. But when you have these testing times, you have to be within yourself. Okay, there are people who would try to avoid you. They have been playing doubles with you, but now they don't want. It's okay. You have to take it into your stride. But once you come back with the Asian title. These same guys, they will again come back to you and they say, okay, let us play tennis together. And all these years I had been winning titles in doubles. But after my surgeries, the first time I won a title in singles when I won the National Masters Championship.
That's good. Rakesh, sorry to interrupt you. I do have one small question. When you started your journey with your numbers of ranking going up and down, what came to your mind that you can go to the top again, and what motivates you to grab that position once again?
I mean, this has to be something from within. I mean, see, I have a friend who keeps going to this Siri what's this ashram in south. Okay. Anyway, so
Acharya Ravi Shankar ji, Shri Shri 1008.
No, not Shri Shri, but Sadhguru.
Shri Sadhguru, yes.
Yeah. So this friend, he keeps going there, and his wife, both of us were sitting in Delhi. Shelja and me were sitting, and she said, Rakesh, do you realize that the body has got unlimited strength? I said, how come you say this? He said that at the Sadhguru ashram, we have people who have, they can run marathon like this. They have that much of capability in their bodies that they can do marathons even without practicing for that. So what she said was that the body has to listen to the mind and not the other way around. And when I was playing the Masters 1 week later at Dehradun, I kept thinking about what she had said. And in spite of my disability, or in spite of my low movement, I could still win the title because I was thinking that the body has to obey the mind. So when these kind of things come, when these kind of challenges come, you have to always believe in the abilities of mind, in the abilities of your body. So that is, I think, sort of the answer to your question.
I think it's very well explained the motivation behind everything you have in life.
Yeah. So, basically, the mantra which I have in life, if I would like to share a few points, one is what I already told you, that you have to keep jumping. You have to keep working hard. So that is what I mean by keep jumping. And another example which I would like to share with you is that I was playing a tournament in Bangkok. And it was very, very hot. And it was like, while I was playing the match, I thought, let me give up. This was about 6-7 years back when I had all my fitness levels and all intact. But still, I was very low on energy, and I lost the first set, maybe 2-6 or 3-6. And the second set, I was down 1-4. And when I was sitting during the change of course, I was sitting on the chair, and I started thinking, I said, all the way from India, you have to come here. This is the way you want to perform? This is what you want to do? The answer came no. So what I did was that I asked the referee, I said, I need to go to the washroom. He said, but you should have asked just when the changeover started. I said, no, it's very urgent. I can't stop. He said, okay. So there is a rule that you cannot go to the washroom. So he sent the ball boy with me, so that I would spend more time than the 2 minutes allotted. So I went to the washroom. I poured water on my head so that I could become a bit cool. And within that 2 minutes, I regained the energy, came back to the court, and believe me, won the next 5 games in a row. And then in the final set, at 8-all, fortunately for me, because the final set they had a super tiebreaker because of the heat, they didn't have a full 3-setter. but for the final set, they had a super tiebreak. And 8 all, fortunately, my opponent, he served a double. And the opportunity came to me, I was 9-8. I said, okay, let me get the tee. And lo and behold, I hit the serve and it took the tee and I won the match. What I wanted to share here was that at no point of time, you have to give up. You have to keep trying. Success is never ending, but failure is also not final till you stop trying. Then in my business life, what I've always learned is that innovation has to be a continuous process. Whether it is a table on wheels, whether it is jumping bit for pole vault or high jump, whether it is the first table, battery operated, fully mechanized table tennis table which we do, or whether this is the first tables from India which we are doing at the moment, keep on innovating, keep on bringing in something new. That will be the difference between you and the competition. Then you have to always keep an eye on the competition. I had a friend who met with an accident, and I asked him what happened. He said, yeah, I was driving and another friend was there and there was a red light. And my friend, he said, yeah, share one. So I just jumped the red light. I said, okay, then you met with an accident. I said, no, बच गए. कहते फिर एक्सीडेंट क्या कैसे हुआ भाई, चोट कैसे लगी? कहते there was another red light and again I jumped. I said, second time you got hurt. He said, no, I was again saved. I said, then how did you get hurt? He said, तीसरी रेड लाइट पे हमारी ग्रीन थी, उधर से कोई शेर बन के आ रहा. So that is how I got hurt. So basically what you have to do in business as well as in sports, you have to keep an eye on what the other players are doing, what the competition is. Now, there's another thing is that we have always learned in our management books that customer is the king. As a youngster, when I was with my grandfather, even before I did my MBA, my grandfather said, your customer is next only to God. God gives you food and he gives you food through your customer. So when you have that kind of thought process for your customer, you will never cheat him. And when you don't cheat him, he'll become your permanent customer. Now, when I grew up and when I came back to business and I saw various definitions of customers by various departments. When you go to the electricity department, they will say, what is their definition of customer? They'll say, because at that point of time, I'm talking about 20, 30, 40 years back, electricity was rare to get. So they said, कष्ट से जिसे हम मार दें, वो हमारा customer. You go to the bank, what do the bank say? Bank says, we don't have customers. Then what do we have? We have account holders. And what is your definition about a customer? A banker would normally say at that point of time, now we have so many private banks, but at that point of time, the bankers would normally say that yeah, customer तंग बहुत करते हैं, तो कष्ट से जो हमें मार दे वो हमारा customer. And then if you go to the customs, कहते यार हमारा तो नाम ही कष्ट था हमें, तो हम अगर कष्ट नहीं देंगे तो कैसे काम चलेगा? But then I realized, no, there has to be something more to it. What is a customer? To my mind, anyone through whom my organization derives any kind of benefit, he's my customer. He may be my workforce, he may be my buyer, he may be my supplier, he may be my banker, any particular person through whom my organization is deriving any kind of benefit is my customer. And when you combine the two definitions, what my grandfather said, that customer is next only to God, and this definition where any kind of benefit is being derived from any particular person, he is your customer, then anybody with whom you are interacting is like God. So when you're जिससे आप डिस्कशन कर रहे हो, जिससे भी आप बात कर रहे हो, जिससे भी आप बिजनेस कर रहे हो, सारे आपके लिए भगवान हैं. तो जब आप उनके लिए ऐसा, when you have that kind of thought process in your mind, you will never cheat. So this is what I have learned from my grandfather over the years, and this is what I have implemented over the years. Then the other thing which we have been following in our business for our tables specifically, that a lot of times the tables, they are damaged, and when a table is damaged, the customer is never happy about the damage. So we have been following a policy of no questions asked. If there is a damage, it is ours. So that has created a lot of, lot of goodwill among the customers, and they are quite happy with the brand. So these are the few things which I have followed over the years. There are a few things, of course, as Gaurav rightly shared, that I have been into sports, I have been into business, and I have been into modeling. There are a few very common things between sports and business. The first common thing which I find is that when we go to a tennis court and we are preparing for a match, what we are trying to do? We are trying to analyze our strengths. We are trying to analyze our weaknesses. At the same time, during the knocking or even before the match, if you get a chance to see your opponent play, so what are you trying to do? You are trying to analyze where his weakness is. What is his strength? I have to avoid his strength. I have to work on his weakness. That is what you have to do when you're doing business. You have to analyze your strengths. You have to work on those. You have to analyze your weaknesses. You have to try to improve them. You have to see where the competition is strong. Try to avoid those areas where the competition is strong. You have to see where the weaknesses lies in the opposition, and that is where you have to cash. And that is what we did when we started our brand journey for the Indian market. So we started with the eastern or the northern or the western sector or the southern sector, because we knew that west was very strong, and we could take over the west only when we have taken the rest. So these are very these are some of the things which are very common. Then what is required? What do you do before a match? You strategize, you plan. Okay, if you're serving, you have to serve here. If you're receiving, you have to receive here. You have to get into the mind of the opponent. You are strategizing always, and that's what you have to do in business always. You have to strategize. You have to plan. You have to plan ahead. What you're doing today, what are you going to do tomorrow? Where do you see your business tomorrow? That is one of the points which I have learned over the years, is that in my organization, if there is another person who can handle what I am doing, I will give that work to that particular person so that I can have free time. And when I have free time, I can plan for the organization. And that is what I'm meant for. If I am the head of the organization today, I am the head of the organization so that I can plan ahead. And if I keep doing, I saw many years back, I was banking with Canara Bank, and one of the managers, he was a DGM, and he was on a visit to one of the branches here in Mohidinpur, and Mohidinpur is very near to my factory, and he said, if you want to meet me, why don't you come here? And when I went there, this guy was writing on the register. I'm talking about 15 years back, and he was writing his report on the bank register. I said, bank is paying you for this? I'm surprised. You're not supposed to do this. You have to have another person who is going to write this report. You're going to dictate and you're just going to sign. You're wasting bank's time. You're surprised. He said, how you're talking to me? I said, yes, this is what you're doing. Because this is not what the bank is paying you for. Bank is paying you for to get better customers for the bank, not to write a report in one of the branches. So of course, we laughed over it, but the thing is that I'm as the head of the organization, I'm here to plan. So I have to have that kind of free time so that I can plan. So strategy, you have to strategize. That is what you do in sports, and that is what you have to do in business. You have to realize. Now, Gaurav, you talked initially we had this discussion. Sports, what is sports? When we are playing doubles, it is a team game. It is not an individual game anymore. Okay, when you're playing individuals, okay, it is an individual game. But when you're playing doubles, it is a team game. That is what happens when you come to business. It's not your individual game. You're not the only one who will perform and win. No, unless until you have a team behind you, unless you have people in whom you have inculcated that kind of confidence and that kind of, qualities and qualifications that they can help you to succeed. Till you have such kind of team, you are never going to succeed. So it is a team game. You have to realize that. You cannot win it alone. Then in sports, what do you do? You're down. You're down 1-4. You're feeling the heat. You're just about to leave the match. What brings you in? It's the fighting spirit. So fighting spirit is very important. Whether it is sports, whether it is business, whether it is anything in life, whether it is your health, you're down and you want to fight. You want to come back. You just can't let it go. Come what may. Whether it is business, If you're down, your competition is trying to overrun you. You are facing COVID situation. You're facing this situation. You're facing that situation. You cannot get through. You have to fight. That is what you have to do in sports. That is what you have to do in business, and that is what you have to do in life. Then, what is important in business? What is important in sports? The will to succeed. You are there to succeed. You are not there to be number two. Number two has got no meaning. It's number one. There's only one winner in the world. And when you're doing business, you have to see it that you are the number one. You cannot be number two. Number two has no recognition. Number one is number one. At the same time, in sports, you have to learn, accept losses. There will be losses. Not every time not every match you win. But sports, it makes you much better human being, much better person who can accept defeats. There can be areas where you're trying very strong in business, you're trying to win those areas, but not every time you're going to win. You have to learn that there will be times when you're not going to win. Then what do you learn in sports? When we go for the international tournaments, many times there are no referees, because they believe in you that the call which you're going to make is going to be a correct call. You're not going to cheat. You're playing as per ethics. That is what is expected of you when you're doing business. You have to follow ethics. So these are some of the similarities which we have between business and sports. And I would like to sum up with all my friends, they have helped me over the years. And whether it is my BHU gang, or whether it is my MMA friends, or whether it is my tennis friends all across the globe, many of them with whom I have played, we have gone through the thin and thick of everything. Some of them who have been very sick and come back, some of them. So all these people, and I would like to just say two lines for all my friends here. Ehsaan mere dil pe tumhara hai dosto, ye dil tumhare pyar mein. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh uncle. It's been very kind and it's very wonderful. We really like it. I think so. I do have one thing to say before anyone else start the rapid fire question or start pouring up the questions. In the play schools in the first or second class, we used to learn a saying that try and try again, you will succeed one day. I think so. You are the live example for try and try again, you will succeed one day. I think so. That really a synonym for Rakesh Kohli. I think so. When you say brand Rakesh Kohli, truly deserve it. I think so. With each and every failure, you overcome with something more on a big bang. I think so. Hats off to you. It's been quite informative. I think so. Now people are waiting to just keep on rushing to the questions. So I request the audience, anyone has any question can raise the hand. I can unmute them and they can ask the question to Rakesh ji directly. So I do have Ankur with me. Ankur, unmute yourself and then ask the question.
Hello, uncle.
Hello, Ankur. How are you?
I am good, uncle. How are you?
Very good. Thank you so much.
This has been a very inspirational session, first of all.
Thank you, Uncle.
So, what I wanted to ask was, uncle, that sometimes, like as you told us, your story there have been ups and downs at various ends of your life, various situations in life wherein you have had professional, personal or emotional losses. So under these conditions, what personally I feel that sometimes the negativity of the situation tends to overtake all the positives that you have been living on. So my question with this is that what kept you inspired always to try once again and, not these negatives, let these negatives overtake the positives or hit back on the challenges in a harder way. So what has been that source of inspiration for you?
You see, what I would say is that it's not that the negativity doesn't creep up. It does creep up. But how long you can let that negativity in? This morning we had a very good quote in MMA group, whereby we said that, okay, if you have 1,500 rupees or 1,000 rupees and if somebody cheats you with 2 rupees, are you going to throw that 1,498 away? No, you're not going to do that. There are going to be downs. So, but after, you have to remember that after every, there is a silver lining to every dark cloud. So these tough times are there, but these tough times are not there forever. And you have to also understand that these testing times are only with those who can live up to these tests. See, I mean, God has created this body, God has created this mind, God has created this human being. Now, we are His products. He wants to test them, how good we are. And He has every right to do that. But that does not mean that we are going to say, okay, now we have been tested and now we are out of this and we are demotivated. And no, you have to come back. And there is, there's no option. You have to come back. You have to come back. I mean, if you are passionate about something, if you're not, okay, you're doing something for the heck of it and you get, there are some bottlenecks and you say, okay, chalo, ho gaya, koi baat nahi. But if you're passionate about something, you'll not let it go. You'll come back. You have no option. If I'm down with a surgery, I don't have an option. I have to come back and play on the tennis court. If for some reason my business is facing some challenges, I have no option. I have to come back and see to it that there is no option. But the question here is how passionate you are about. If you are passionate about your tennis, if you are passionate about your business, if you are passionate about something, you will not let it go. Maybe there is a negativity for some time. It may be for a day, it may be for a month. Sometimes it may be for longer. But then, if you are passionate, you will come.
I think so. Passion is the key ingredient for the success. So I do request anyone, Sanjeev Gupta ji has a question. Sanjeev ji, please go ahead.
Good evening, Rakesh ji.
Good evening, Sanjeev ji. How are you?
Fine, sir. Fine. This is a very interesting talk, sir. You have shared a lot about your business acumen and your journey about your business and your sports and various, your various achievement in the field. But my question is regarding your fitness mantra. How do you keep yourself so fit in this age? Actually, we are also reaching the same age as you are. So I would like to request you to please share your tips for the fitness.
Okay. In 2005, when I started my tennis journey again, I was 96 kgs. And the first tournament I played, I won one round with great difficulty. And my knees, they were swollen. I had severe arthritis. And then when I came back, I consulted various doctors in Delhi. I went to Dr. Ashok Rajgopal. I went to various other doctors. Almost every known surgeon or known orthopedic guy in Delhi. And each one of them, they advised that I have to stop professional tennis. I kept changing doctors till I found one who said, "Kitne set खेलते हो?" मैंने कहा 2 set खेलता हूँ सर. कहते 3 कर दो. My wife, she was with me and she was also a little bit overweight at that time. And he said, "Madam, आप तो चुप रहो, आपसे तो मैं बाद में बात करूँ." So what he said was कि सर आप अपने नी को भूल जाओ, अपने बैक को स्ट्रेंथन करो. अगर आपने खेलना है तो उसने he put me on some painkiller, but he put me on painkiller 1 mg for 15 days, half mg for 15 days, and 1/4 mg for 15 days. After 45 days, no painkiller. But he said you have to play 3 sets. You have to do 10 kilometers of cycling. So you have to work on your fitness. अगर in case the body कहीं पे भी कोई weakness आती है, तो आपको उस body को ये देखना है कि which are the other muscles which can take the load. Knees, I think in most of the time, knees is one of the things which disturbs us all. But you have to improve the mobility in the knees so that you can keep fit. और मेरे लिए fitness जो है from 96 kgs I came down to 82 kgs in 3.5 months. तो आपके दिमाग में अगर जिस दिन ये आ गया कि यार मेरे को फिट होना है, तो फिर किसी के कहने की या किसी के समझाने की या किसी टॉक शो में बात करने से बात नहीं बनती. बात तो उस दिन बनती है जिस दिन आप ये सोचे कि यार मुझे फिट होना है, कल सुबह मुझे जो है कल से 10 किलोमीटर सैर करनी है, या कल से मुझे जो है टेनिस कोर्ट पे जाके खेलना है, या कल से मुझे जो है रनिंग करनी है. तो जिस दिन आप ये सोच लोगे कि I have to walk 10 kilometers, then your fitness will automatically improve.
I think so. That's an excellent answer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Welcome.
Rakesh, I would suggest one thing. Probably you should start mentoring all of us for the fitness mantra. And Trilok ji, your mentor has a question to ask. Trilok ji, please unmute yourself and then probably. Trilok uncle, please. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Gaurav.
Good
Thank
evening,
you,
sir.
Rakesh.
Good evening.
Namaste to everyone. Namaste to everyone. Gentlemen, I compliment Rakesh for how he has balanced his lifestyle. He is a professional manager. He is an international sports person. He is a very passionate human being. He is very social, and above all, he is very humble.
Sir.
I would like to thank both the gentlemen sitting here, Gaurav and Rakesh, whom I have mentored somewhere down the line. And they mentored me yesterday. We were at a webinar where I could not get through. And both of them trying to help me. And finally, I did get through partially. Thank you, boys. Both of you did a good job. And I have enjoyed this talk because I have heard him so often and I've interacted with him so often. He missed out on one very salient feature. He did not mention the attributes of his mother. He mentioned about his grandfather. He mentioned about his father, his family. But he did not mention about his dear mother. She was a woman of immense satisfaction. She was a very fierce lady, a very perfect human being. And all the perseverance he has got, all the patience he has got, all the passion he has got is from her blessings, her parents' blessings. I happen to have interacted with her a few times. Unfortunately, didn't have much time with her, but she was a brilliant lady. His father was another gem of a person. His grandfather, believe you me, whatever little time I spent with him, I've learned a lot about marketing techniques. He was a superhuman being because he was traveling in the years 1930s and 40s. And what has made Rakesh a perfect person, I would tell him that, he has not mentioned it, traveling makes a man perfect. And that is exactly what he has achieved. And I'm summing it up, sorry Rakesh, you can include this in your next talk,
No, I will share a little bit here, sir. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for motivating me always, and thank you so much for bringing this up. And I think this is a very interesting thing which I would like to pick up here and I would like to share here. See, when I started as a youngster in 1975 as a 17-year-old, I was sent to tour in Bijapur district in Karnataka, and there was this station known as Indy Road. And what happened was that this train reaches Indy Road at around 10:30 at night, and there is no way you can reach Indy Kasba, that town, at that time. So the only possible way is that you have to open your holdalls. At that time, we used to have those holdalls. This is 45 years back, and you have to open that holdall and you have to sleep on the platform, which has there used to be no roof. और उस प्लेटफॉर्म पे जब मैं सोया और रात को कब जाके कुत्ता भी आके मेरे पास सो गया, I don't know. That opened my eyes to many things. I said, this is 1975. My grandfather has been traveling these areas in 1935. In 75, there is no roof on the platform. This is the way we have to stand. This is the way we have to sleep. What would have been the condition when he used to travel? And that opened my eyes, and that helped me. That I never look back from working hard there. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for bringing this up, sir.
I think so. That's something eye-opener for every one of us, because it's been tough for everyone to understand what our forefathers are used to do, because we've been fortunate enough to have every luxury we have as of today. So I think so. We've been faced the partition era and things like that. They are very well aware of the circumstances. They have gone through all the challenges.
I'm not from the pre-partition era, but I'm sorry, Gaurav, I just want to say something. See, when I was touring Karnataka, I mean, I used to travel 50 kilometers a day on bicycle, going from one school to another school, getting orders. That is the hard way I have come up. And I could do that because I realized that my parents, my father and my grandfather, they have been going through even much tougher times than what I've seen. So, I mean, hard work has been there in the blood always. And that has helped me quite a lot.
Definitely, we can very well see your hard work, your brand as a stag, as Rakesh Kohli, as a sportsman, as a model. I think so you've been kind enough to sum up everything in a very small talk. It's been quite difficult for the achievements that you have done. They are so vast. To sum up the entire session in 1 hour is again a tough job that you are able to do it very perfectly. Any one last question from the audience in case anyone has any question?
Hello.
Yes, Abhishek, please.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir. That was a very inspiring session. I want to ask one question, that how we as a management student can inculcate the qualities that have been mentioned by you.
Good evening, Abhishek.
Good evening, sir.
I think, again, what we have to realize here is that, as youngsters, we have to see what interests us most. See, success is not overnight. It is a journey.
Yes.
But it can start at any point of time. Now, today, if you see among your friends, some of them will be very good singers. Some of them will be very good dancers. Now, if they're singing well, they're dancing well, it is some success which they're achieving. And success has a rubbing effect. If you are successful in one particular field, you can be successful in various other fields. But coming to your question as to how to be successful, I think for being successful, you have to choose a field about which you are passionate. Supposing if you are passionate on cooking, then you might go into the hospitality sector. If you're a good sportsman, you can come into the sporting goods sector. So it depends on what interests you most. If you're good human relations, then you can join a company on HR. You can be successful on that. You're good at convincing people. You can go to marketing. So just do that Atmanthan, do that inner evaluation and see what is the trait. Every person is different and every person is abled in a different way. Every person has some special traits to himself. It may not be the same. देखो ऐसा है. The thing is that किताबी knowledge जो है, that is not the only thing. The degrees are not the only thing. It is the education from within. What you are passionate about. If you follow that, I think the chances of your success are much more.
I think so. It's very well explained, Rakesh ji. I think so. इतना अच्छा लग रहा है आपको, बार बार सुन के लगता है और सुनते जाओ. कुछ ना कुछ एक क्वेश्चन नया पुट करते जाओ और इसको और सुनते जाओ. कुछ ना कुछ और निकलेगा अंदर से. अभी बहुत कुछ है अंदर. So I think so probably we'll come up with another session with Rakesh uncle, and I think so the audience would certainly love it to have another session with Rakesh uncle. So I think so with the shortage of time, now I request Dr. Dev Arora to please present the vote of thanks. Dr. Dev Arora.
Yes. I think Dr. Shailendra Dubey, he is on the way of Nainital, then especially he here to listen Rakesh ji. So he's raising a hand, so I shall give him opportunity. Rakesh ji, Dr. Dubey is very big fan of you after listening you. So Dr. Dubey, just ask and concentrate on the time itself. Yeah, please. Dr. Dubey, just unmute yourself.
Is it okay? Many thanks. In between, I've just got in. First of all, I wish to convey thanks to the Merit Management Association for such a wonderful session. And yesterday, I was listening to Rakesh Kohli sir, and I was mesmerized to see his points. And today, I see his mentor, Mr. Anand sir, also, because he was not visible yesterday. And I was taking some notes also from both, and Mr. Gaurav and President MMA. So, sir, first of all, thanks to you for such a nice, wonderful session, Rakesh Kohli sir.
Thank you so much.
I remember being a sports person again, since I also belong to the sports pedigree, but not like you, sir. It was at a young stage. But now, since as having as an academic career, I wanted to see two things. I wish to know. So please, you were talking about yesterday quality, and then today talking about the innovation in your business. And again, considering that the way you had entered into the international market. See, all of us know that quality is a career, always a big issue whenever we talk about. And I was listening to your talk, and I was looking for those points where you could manage this, that is getting into the international market with your own quality standard. So sir, please give me some briefings about how this quality from your Stag International, Stag has come up to the international level, and second, how you could manage innovation throughout, because innovation is buzzword, innovation without which we cannot compete, and obviously it is innovation. So you could manage both fronts in a very nice manner. So just give me a briefing. Is it your own benchmarking with respect to your quality standards with the Stag tables or Stag, which you are getting into the all 126 countries, which you just told me in your webinar? And second thing, how you managing the innovations, how this value engineering you are doing. Obviously, I know the time is already lapsed, but just Gaurav sir will permit me to then I think big vote of thanks from Deo sir. Please.
Yeah. Okay. So the first point is about the quality standards.
Yes, sir.
See, my father, he produced the first table because I used to play table tennis. I mean, incidentally, I don't know whether I mentioned it before or not, but I'm the only player from India who has played the world championship in both tennis and table tennis. So my father, he produced the first table tennis table because I used to play. And that is how we came into the business of table tennis equipment. So when we talk about quality as players, I think we understand quality of a table tennis table much better than any of our competitors. And that is one of the reasons why we have been quite successful in the international arena with our tables. Now, second thing is how we have been successful in the international field. This was your second question. Our international field is just an extension of the domestic sector. I mean, we are doing business here in UP. The parameters may be totally different than doing business in Kerala. Or the parameters may be slightly different for doing business in Tamil Nadu or in Hyderabad or in other places. So it's just an extension. Similarly, when you are doing business internationally, the parameters are a little bit different. But you have to understand the basic needs. What are the basic needs of these particular areas which you need to satisfy? And this is where innovation comes into place. What is innovation? Innovation is whereby you are producing products which satisfy certain needs. So need is the mother of all innovations. So you have to continue searching what is lacking. When we did the tables in India, we saw to it that these heavy tables produced by these Bombay companies, they are very strong, no doubt. They are very, very good to play. But we can't move them. So we introduced wheels on tables. So innovation comes, you have to look for needs. Which are the needs which are still not satisfied? We had these wheelchair players playing international table tennis, but they couldn't handle the tables. So we introduced the tables with remote. We're the first ones to introduce tables with remote. We saw that there are not enough space in the house to keep a table. We started producing outdoor tables. So you have to understand what is lacking, where the products are not available. And when you can identify a need, then innovation becomes much easier. So keep looking for needs and keep innovating.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. That's great, sir. That's great.
I think so. That's very well said. It's more about finding the right need to innovate something good. So with this, I would again request Dr. Devaraj to please come forward.
So Rakesh ji, a big namaste to you.
Namaskar ji, namaskar Devendra ji.
Then I wrote some words on chat box also, so that I've got a chance to give a vote of thanks. I wish to give a vote of thanks you to more than 1,000 times. At least we entire youth of country, not only country, worldwide, we need your speech once in a month. Dubey ji, we are going to spread our work on the worldwide. And you want to say something?
Yeah. Sir, Rakesh sir is a great case study for SPA as well as for all the entrepreneurs. I tell you, sir, with your permission, Rakesh sir, I want to write a case study on you.
Yes,
so that it is truly mesmerizing.
But before you do that, I just want to share that there is already a case study on me on EV. And it has been discussed in Harvard. So if you want to take it forward, you're most
That's great.
So obviously, I will refer to that, but this will be again for the inspiration for our own generation, young generation. Those who are
it's become a version 2.0.
Yes, sir. Right.
Not one. So already we got a copyright on IPL final match and Ford versus Ferrari. So we make a case study and we fight with the Harvard professor. So here, so Rakesh ji, it's a very big evening for all of us to listen you. And just I was praying, my wife goes to the temple. I said ki 33% Devta is with us out of 9. 3 are in the mention the name of R.K. Rakesh ji. So this is the again 9 ग्रह में से 3 ग्रह तो आप ही हैं. हम लोग को सबको आपकी ब्लेसिंग चाहिए ही हमेशा के लिए. And thing is what I noted from your this speech, I particularly the Rakesh Kohli, the give title I wish to name, and I think I got a 5 copyright in this year, so 1 more copyright I will take to the Rakesh Kohli from Meerut. So think is going to this, and what we learn, it's a failure management, which is very important. I think 1 in a billions those able to learn failure management. We saw the biography of so many super players and superheroes in their different field. At Mashadi Gulati ji, and we saw one of the example he gave from Tangawala to become a billionaire. So one of example we are looking you the great learning failure management and how you get that failure management. First, we observe that faith, number 1, number 2, fire in belly, and number 3, as a sports person, fighting spirit. And your passion, your persistence and patience, it's really give us a good message for all of us. And today Pitama Bhishma Trilok Anand ji is with us, so his blessing, so we got a double bonanza from all of you. So once again, on behalf of Meerut Management Association, and as you see the Sports Academy Association of India, and my humble request, like as a teacher, I wish to see one university with name of maybe Stag University of Sports Management and Technology, or maybe whatever the name you want to give to live the 1,000 years, because you see any university, Harvard or whatever, Michigan, MIT, maybe in India, Banaras Hindu Vishwavidyalaya, then so many universities, they are living 1,000 years, and they are creating a person like you. So my request from the more than 65 crore youth of India, on behalf of, I request you to just put up one big stone of university in Meerut, so that Meerut and Jalandhar, yesterday I want to told MJ Michael Jackson is famous in the world as Meerut and Jalandhar. So at least you give one university to India. As the government open one in Manipal, that is sports playing university only, not a sports technology, sports management. Like Australia have a big universities, Europe have the big university. Unfortunately, India don't have. Even then, India is the largest placement provider in the world in terms of sports events. As we have so many advisors from Armenia youth and other countries also. So Christian Lillerus is the one of advisor with us, as he's a very good friend of yours. So he's a devotee of Kripal Ashram, Vijayanagar, and he told me, can Rakesh ji sponsor my marriage? Oh my God, you are going to do marriage because once Rakesh ji sponsor me. So then I said, why? Now he's crossed the 65-year age. So thing is this, my humble request, and thank you everyone, and thank you to Rakesh ji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Dev, and once again a heartfelt thank to Rakesh ji, and once again on behalf of Meerut Management Association, we would like to present you a token of appreciation for this kind talk, and probably I'll just circulate this to you. I'll hand over it to you on personally.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Just a sec, Rakesh ji, I think some problem with my end.
We all can clap. This is a thanks clapping. Yes, we all can.
This one is for you.
Leadership talk. That's great.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Gaurav.
So I would come personally to your office and hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And once again, heartfelt thanks to the entire audience who've been patient enough and kind enough to join the session. I think so they must have gained something out of it, because I personally have taken 5 or 6 major points for the self-motivation, because every failure gives you an opportunity for another success. I think so that's the basic thing I've learned from you. There are many more things I can learn from you in future as well, and probably in future we will have more sessions from you, so that the entire audience can again get something out of it. Once again, a heartfelt especially thanks to Rakesh ji and all the audience. Thank you once again for joining in today. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Gaurav. Thank you, and all the very best. A very good initiative on part of MMA, and keep it up.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.